Hey, 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 ya, hey, 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 ya, hey, 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 ya, hey, hey, hey. Drive, 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 driving to, driving to, driving to the res.
Welcome to another episode
of Driving to the Res.
In the truck edition.
Yes.
With your favorite hosts,
Inelia
Inelia
and Larry.
and Larry.
Yay!
Easter Sunday, honey.
It is Easter Sunday.
Did you know that? When you woke
No,
up, did you know that?
I did not know that. And I'm kind of bummed because to me Easter Sunday is the more like the Celtic celebration of chocolate eggs,
Chocolate eggs.
bunnies, celebration of spring. And,
Spring.
Yeah. So I was kind of bummed because usually we get a lot of chocolate eggs.
Or at least colored eggs.
Yeah, I'm not that keen on colored eggs. Chocolate eggs are eggs with little surprises in them. To have today and to enjoy them with our friends. Even do an egg hunt, But yeah, I didn't realize it was, so didn't organize anything. So we get no chocolate today.
Well, a little bit of chocolate bar, I guess.
That's not the same.
Not the same. Also, we're not alone. What about everybody else? Didn't anybody else remember?
I don't know.
Somebody did.
Do you mean somebody else in the community?
Yeah,
or?
somebody else did.
Yeah, maybe.
Because remember what you saw on that table this morning?
Oh yeah, somebody did remember. Dan brought us the community a beautiful set of, what would you call those, daffodils? No,
not daffodils. They're
the roundy ones.
roundy ones.
We're very bad at naming plants.
Hey Dan, what was that plant called? A lily?
Which one?
The one that you gave the community
Easter plant.
for Easter that you left in the shaman shack.
It's not lilies. I can't remember what the name. Tulips.
Tulips. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have Dan.
Dan remembered.
Today.
Dan's cruising to the res with us today.
Yes, he's driving to the res with us today.
Because the res is open.
Yeah.
That's an interesting bit. I wanted to talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about
I don't have
that.
other things to talk about. I mean, Easter, yeah, okay. We forgot it. We probably would have remembered if we had kids running around.
Oh, yeah.
Because it seems like
definitely.
kids are designed to remind you of holidays.
Yes.
Plus, if you have kids, you also usually have them in school, and schools definitely
Gonna
remind you if there's a holiday coming because the kids ain't going to school that day.
Yes.
And our dogs, every day's Easter. They look around the yard hunting Easter eggs every single day.
Every day, yeah.
Yeah.
And we pretty much get chocolate every day.
Yeah, so kind of like mellows out the whole holiday thing, but it's very important for other people, I notice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did get a phone call last week, an invitation, I think, to go to Jesus's celebration of death or something. Was that what it was?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, something like that.
I think you got a call too.
I don't think I did.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah? Oh, I forgot
remember.
it.
Also, we got a letter
And the letter to invite us
to
some church.
someplace.
Yeah.
I never actually went to one of those things. Did you ever?
The Christian celebration of Easter?
Yeah, don't they go to church in the evening or something like that?
No, I've never been part of an organized religion. I know, my parents...
Your family must, all right?
My mom and my grandparents baptized me into Catholic Church when I was a newborn baby.
Right.
Against my father's wishes. But that's it. My grandma took me to church a couple of times and, well, yeah, once.
Tell me that experience. I remember that experience, right?
Oh my God.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
You're wide open at that age and you don't have a filter.
Right.
And you're excited about
I was excited.
things.
So I was staying with my grandmother. I was about 4 years old and I was staying with my grandma and she was getting all dressed up, real nice to go somewhere. And I said, "Where are you going?" And she said, "I'm going to church." And I said, "What is church?" She said, "It's the house of God." And I thought, oh my God, you're going to the house of God? Because I'd had some concept of what people were saying God was, this wonderful individual.
Knows everything.
Who knows everything and is loving and caring and loves you. I mean, I'd heard those things, in passing from my mom and my grandma who were Catholics.
Yep.
So I thought, oh my gosh, really? Can I come? And she looks at me, and she was babysitting me at the time.
Yeah.
So my parents weren't there. And she said, well, yes, I can take you because you asked me to. So, because she had strict instructions from my dad not to talk about those type of things and not to take me to any churches. But I had asked, so she said yes. And I was so excited. So she put a beautiful dress on me, and off we went. We walked down the street saying hello to everybody. We went into the church and we walked in, and I was so excited.
God's house is pretty nice, some of them.
We sat down and I looked up into the front because I was pretty small, so I couldn't see it when we were walking in with everybody. But once we sat down, I was able to see the front of the church. And there was this massive cross with a man on it with thorns on his head, bleeding down his face, and in great suffering and pain, with nails on his hands and his feet. And I stood up and I looked at my grandma and I said, this is not the house of God. This is something else. I don't know what it is, but it's bad, it's evil, it's horrible. And you lied to me, and this isn't the house of God. And I'm leaving. Very, very loud. Everybody heard it. My grandma was
mortified. I bet. Oh my
so
God.
I ran out, and I was 4. I didn't know how to get home, but I was goddamn going to try.
And you weren't staying there, not 1 second longer.
No, 1 second longer. I ran out, got into the park in front of the church, and I thought, I wonder which way I'm supposed to go. And then I felt somebody grabbing me right from behind, and I looked, and it was my grandma.
Oh my
And she looked at me and she said, what has your father been telling you? And I said, what do you mean? She says, all that nonsense what you said, what's your father been telling you? And I'm like, oh. From that moment on, my father became interesting to me.
He became interesting.
Before that, I had no interest in my father. He was the most boring individual on the planet.
Oh, man.
Including my mom and every other adult on the planet. But suddenly, here was an interesting human. And
that's hilarious.
And I said, he said nothing, but what does he say? What does he say? And she's like, nothing. I'm taking you home. So she took me home. And one of the interesting things that happened was that the next time when I started seeing people nicely dressed going to church, my grandma wasn't getting ready right from the window because we lived in the main street. And I said, I don't know if it was the same visit or a different visit. And I said, are you not going to church, Grandma? And she said, no, I'm not going. I says, why not? You always go to church. She says, I feel there's something wrong with the church.
She had an original thought?
No, I don't think she felt it was original, but she believed, because she was a Christian and a Catholic, she believed that the truth comes out of the mouths of babes.
Oh.
That type. I can't remember the saying or the teaching, but something about the truth coming out of the mouth of babes.
Right, because they're wide open, don't have all those filters. They just say it as it is.
I don't know if that's what they mean. Maybe it has to do with innocence or whatever, but it's actually a Christian belief. And that was a big truth that I said. And when she heard it and she looked around, she must have seen that it was true. But she literally, she went to church for funerals and occasionally every now and then for different things, but she was a staunch Catholic before that. She'd go to church on Sunday, every single Sunday, and sometimes during the week as well. And she'd do all the things, the confession and everything else. So that changed.
Did at some point she start going again, or at some point did she find another path to her feeling of connection, or whatever? What did they get out of going to being a part of that? It seems like that generates a we why in a ways. It's not just about me; it's me and my church.
Yeah, part of community, sense of
Community.
community, that type of thing.
Have a community
Well,
building.
I can tell you that she never got rid of any of her religious figures at her house. She had a lot of statues of the Virgin Mary. She had photographs and paintings of saints. She had pictures of the angels. You know, so she and the photograph, like not photograph, but a painting of Jesus. And so she had all these things in the house, including a painting that was quite horrific, actually, of purgatory and hell.
Wow.
Yeah, hell and purgatory in the main room, in the living room, dining room. So yeah, she never gave up her religion. She didn't. But her dedication or her intensity of going to church every single week, a couple of times a week, that stopped.
Do you think was it for her after that? Was it like stop watching the news? As I noticed, people who were really watching the news, CNN or whatever, Fox, whatever, they kind of get into a cult, I guess, in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it anything different for her afterwards? Did her mind clear up a little bit, or did she become more powerful, or did she become wandering and lost, or anything?
I think she became more authoritative over her own life, for sure. She wasn't doing everything that the priests told them to do anymore.
That seems like a positive outcome.
Yeah.
I suppose that's the same with the news. Just don't do what everything the TV tells you all the time.
Possibly, yeah.
I wonder if it's similar technology. Because remember, the cathedral is technology.
Oh, yeah, definitely is.
And so maybe the news is the technology now, or it's Wi-Fi on your phone or something. What do you think?
Could be.
Serves that kind of purpose? Because I noticed it does seem like there's still churches, but it doesn't seem like there's cathedrals. You know, they're like building giant cathedrals anymore.
They're not
Well, they
building
did.
them.
They did in Russia. Remember, we looked at that one.
Yeah, I think they're still building them, but not to the same degree or amount.
So the technology isn't being built and used, or they just use the same one over and over. What do you think?
I'm
Or
not
they
sure.
Think they
I'm not
adapted to
sure.
a different technology?
I don't know.
No ideas.
No ideas. I
So-
would need more details. It's too broad.
Too broad.
Yeah, for me
Oh.
to look at.
What about, since we started with Easter and we almost went to the Reses Open, we're still sort of stuck in religion a little bit, right?
That really surprised me because the Makah Reservation, I heard from relatives that for many years in the United States it was illegal for Native Americans to practice their songs, to tell their stories, and get together in ceremony.
Oh yeah, we weren't allowed to gather. In order to do a gathering, potlatch,
They
we'd
would
have
do
to
it up in
paddle
the
off to
woods.
Tatoosh Island where
Yeah.
there weren't any Indian agents
Yeah.
to see it, and then everybody go out there in secret, you know, and have their
Yeah.
party anyway. But
Yeah, I remember seeing a photograph of people dressed in their traditional clothes, and there was a 6-foot wall or 7-foot wall
oh yeah,
all around them, and
Oh,
a
my-
little kid
my uncle was
sitting
up on the
it.
fence.
Yeah,
watching.
sitting on it, and Uncle Cotton said, "Oh, that's me."
That's me. Yeah, because they could do their dancing and stuff behind the fence.
Yeah, they had to do everything behind the fence.
That was good.
So I remember that. That's part of the indoctrination of removing anything that might be contrary to the main religions that people are allowed to practice. You'd think, wow, that happened in the United States of America, you know, the bastion of freedom, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, that's right. Freedom here is an illusion. And I remember many years ago, I wrote an article when I came here to see, and I noticed that this was one of the most oppressed and dictatorship-led places on the planet, and I was quite shocked and surprised about that. So, apart from that, though, the religion aspect of it, part of the Christian religions was to absorb all of the religions and customs in the local area.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that if an area, for example, in Ireland, there's still traditions that worship the bunny on Easter. There's fires, they have different names for it, and they have dances, and even in England too. Old ceremony of, like, from the native areas there, old ceremonies to celebrate spring, and particularly around this time of the changing of the seasons and the times of where we can see the sun and we can't see the sun and stuff like that. So that was celebrated in different ways. And then as the Catholic religion came through, they took that and they turned it into saints and virgins and traditionally God-given authority to do things and celebrating of God things and Jesus things. And that's how they kind of transformed it. So in the rest, when I got there and I saw that there was a ton of different churches there, it was quite surprising. It was all Christian churches, and they're very staunch Christians and go to church every week or twice a week or whatever, and they gather and they do ceremony. So they took ceremony away from the native traditions and put it there. And even now, when there's traditional native ceremony, which there are, they bring in God and Jesus into them.
Yeah, they totally do. And they actually, I know a few of them who appropriate their original teachings, were the original teachings of the church, and they say that they had it to start with.
Like what?
Jesus and the church and all of that. Bible was a part of their original
Makah traditions.
Knowns, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very strange thing. It's colonialism in its best form. It is designed as a power over others tradition and organization, and it is very much one-sided. On the one end, you have Rome and all the bishops and the Pope dressed in literal gold thread and gems, while you have individuals all over the world in extreme poverty, but still expected to give 10% of their income to the church. So it's a huge disparity. And one of the things that I found to be very interesting when we went to the Vatican was that they consider every single person who's been baptized into the Roman Catholic Church to be their property. And that's why they can declare themselves the Vatican as a nation, because even though it's a city and it's quite small, they have such a huge population around the world. So to me that was interesting. Energetically speaking, it's a very insidious energy that happens when a person gets baptized. It's like literally giving that person to a different entity called a religion. And religions have their own spirit, their own intelligence, and often they become just about their survival and their wealth and their whatever's, right, growth, rather than what might have been perceived as the origin, history, or feeling of the religion. I haven't seen one yet that hasn't gone through that process of being taken over.
When they get baptized?
And, well, the religions in general, but the baptism is a ritual that gives away the child to a different entity from the parents.
I was curious about that because I know it's hard for me to relate to that drive to have that done, because I didn't even give it 1 second thought. Not one millisecond thought, I'm going to bring all my kids in and get that done. My mom, she thought about that a lot. And I'm pretty sure 1 or 2 of my kids got to go to church and get baptized and that kind of thing, but they weren't Catholics, but they still were baptized. And it seemed like it had a lot of meaning, to a lot of people. But to me, what was uncomfortable was going to a basketball game, and everybody in the auditorium stands up to pledge allegiance to the flag or whatever it is that we do. Sometimes it's the flag one, and sometimes it's the Star Spangled Banner one.
Mm-hmm.
Take off your hat and stuff, and staying seated down and not joining in the ritual.
It's very uncomfortable.
That's
for
uncomfortable,
you.
and I imagine it's the same feeling for the baptism in some villages and some people, some groups, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get my kids baptized. They're like, horror of horrors.
Yes.
How could you even consider it? Everybody's going to know.
Right.
So some of it might be that pressure too, right?
Yep. Yeah, some of them. And a lot
Maybe
of
that's
the
one of
staunch
the major.
Catholics, they baptize because they literally believe that if you don't baptize your child, that child's going to go to hell. It doesn't matter what they live or how they live or anything. They literally think that if you don't baptize that child will go to hell.
You know, the pressure to do the baptism, similarly the pressure to stand up at the football game or the basketball game for the national anthem, and I'm sure in Europe they probably have similar rituals in sports, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like a soccer game, what do they do?
They do sing their national anthems. Yeah.
I know they do it at the Olympics too.
Yep, they do.
And that's all the countries. So that's a ritual that they like.
Propagate.
The powers that are, or the powers that were, or the controllers of the planet, how they like to call themselves, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
They encourage that behavior.
They do.
Because it's so effective at controlling
the
masses, right?
Yeah.
We just went through 2 years of the exact same thing. It's like, doesn't matter the evidence. You don't matter what you read, doesn't matter what you're told. Doesn't matter if the evidence that you have is opposite of the evidence that's being presented on the new church, the TV.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to go in and get, booster seat.
Right.
Because everyone else is, and it's the peer pressure, right? It's like the herd pressure.
Yeah.
I think it's grabbing onto the herd pressure that's intrinsic in our human design, because we are definitely
a herd and collective.
A collective, a herd.
They even say herd immunity, right? They don't even hide it.
And one of the largest discomforts for most, not everyone, but most people is ostracization or
rejection
from the tribe, or what do they call it? A banishment.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading
Exile
about that.
Exile.
I remember reading about the ultimate punishment for your crime was banishment.
Yep.
And I couldn't understand at the time.
It was worse than death for the Greeks and the Romans to be exiled or banished.
And the tribes too. If you got kicked out of the tribe,
Oh yeah, that's it.
You aren't going to survive.
Right.
Or if you do, you're going to be a wild man of the woods and crazy.
Yeah, and the Catholic Church and other churches have excommunication. Right? So. And
Scientology has what?
Yeah, the same excommunication.
Excommunication. Yeah. So that's one of the bigger tools of power over others, is not so much hijacking, but appropriating that intrinsic part of many, many, many humans.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we become aware, I think that's part of raising the vibration, is becoming aware when that's happening.
Yeah.
And being awake to and conscious of when that pressure is being applied.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the choice to react rather than be compelled by the low frequency feeling of, if you don't, to do it.
You mean having the choice to respond rather than react? Right?
Yeah, isn't that what I meant to say that if I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So at a small scale, it could be I'm at the football game and everybody's doing the thing, the ritual, and I don't want to participate. I could just sit down and
not do it.
Not do it.
That's a
Why
good
would
start.
I not do it?
Right.
I mean, I'm asking a question though. Why wouldn't I?
Well,
what difference does it make if I'm standing there and everybody else is singing the song and looking at the flag? That's a pretty flag.
Have you ever heard the words?
Boom, bombs floating in air, and I know the tale. I know the song came from, or at least the story I was told. But,
So a ritual,
yeah.
Especially a ritual that you carry out with others, is a powerful magical act.
Ritual is a powerful magical act.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to really watch out for what rituals you do.
What rituals are you joining in?
Exactly, especially when there's a lot of other people around. And that includes listening very carefully to the words being crafted, said, spelled out. It's a spell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Magic. So you have to be very, very conscious and aware of that. And if you don't agree with some of it or all of it, don't participate. If you agree with it and the energy behind it, not your interpretation of the energy behind it, that I find a lot of people do,
Yeah.
but the actual energy behind it. I find a lot of people who say, yeah, I'm a Catholic, but I don't believe in this, this, and that. I believe in this, this, and that. Actually, dude or dudette, you're not a Catholic. If you say you're a Christian and you say, well, God is not a man with a white beard sitting on a throne, I know it's something else, but I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus, you're not. You're not a Christian, you don't believe in Jesus. Do not qualify that way, okay? That's just not it.
It's an all or nothing type of thing.
It is. And that's by the church, the Catholic
The edicts
Church.
of the church itself,
exactly.
Right.
And people say, well, you need to be more broad-minded and question these things. Excuse me, one of the rules of the Catholic Church and other Christian churches is do not question. Do not question. They say that very, very clearly.
Yep.
So if you are questioning, you're already not a Catholic. You're not a Christian. So it's like that. It's that clear, right? It's that clear.
So to avoid the ritual, I'm going to use football game because,
Mm-hmm.
it's no chance that I'm going to go to church and join in one of their rituals. I just want not going there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no event there that I want to go to that I would join the ritual, or nobody who could invite me there that I would go there to join in a
What
ritual.
if when a best friend or a relative is getting married and they want to do it in a church?
All right, you just convinced me I got to go now.
Exactly. So there will be times when you will be, going there.
Okay, so I go to church and they have a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
How do I not join in the ritual?
So sometimes it is best not to go in, right? But if the ritual has to do with these two people getting together in the eyes of God and to join in matrimony and blah, 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 and you care about those two people, then I would say I've done it myself. I've gone there
Mm-hmm.
and I participated.
Right.
And I will do, and I scan and I listen to what's being said or done, and because it's an element of respect. You're going into a church, everybody stands up, you stand up because it's an element of respect. It was your choice, you did it, you're going there to celebrate in their way what they're doing. Now if I've been to a wedding by an Indian couple from India.
Yeah.
It lasted 3 days.
Oh my God.
And they had a lot of rituals that were taking place with regards to the bride and the groom. And some of them, because I was a woman, I was, expected to participate in. And I didn't know what I was doing, but somebody would tell me, okay, now we put flowers on her chair, whatever it was.
Right.
So I would do it because I was there by invitation, by my free will, and I was respecting their tradition of how they're celebrating their special day. Okay?
Yeah.
So that is part of mystical etiquette. I wasn't going to go in there and say, hey, this is the oppression of women. How come she's wearing something around her eyes and blah, 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 and blah,
Right.
blah, blah, and this and this and the other. Oh, that road is closed. We're getting distracted.
I don't know what they got on here for signs.
What's it saying? You're going to use it anyway?
Of course.
We got to a road that we're going, and it's closed. We're going to see what happens. But yeah, so distractions. Right? We were talking about distractions, and
What were you just
What were we just talking about? So yeah, so if you go into
joining a ritual, somebody else
if you go into a church or somebody else's culture or ritual in a different place, participate in a way that is mystical etiquette is correct, and you're being honoring them. It's not about you. But if they go into a ritual that is really like not good, if they start sacrificing,
sort of like sucking you in, like this ritual is us and all of us agree and
Exactly.
join in Christ and the
Yes.
sanctity of blah blah blah.
then you just walk away.
Then you like might just go to the reception later instead.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. And I've done that. I went to, I actually was Easter church, midnight in England with my first husband and his family, who were staunch Irish Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to go. And I said, sure, why not? And we sat in the back, and I heard this guy in the front, this bishop, I think he was a bishop, talking about how anybody who is not a Catholic is a devil, a possessed individual, a demon, evil, and this and this and the other, and that anybody who doesn't come to church is also possessed and evil, and we mustn't talk to them. In fact, we should, and do all these things. Like, oh my gosh. And first of all, I started laughing because it was laughable. What he was saying is laughable. Everybody was looking at him like they were believing it, and being serious, and they were. And then it came to a point that the evil things that he was saying was so strong, and I was pregnant at the time.
Wow.
I thought, no, okay, that's crossed the line, and I stood up and walked away, right?
Yeah.
And my husband at the time ran after me, and he said, what's going on? What's going on? I said, nah, I'm not putting up with that BS. It's pure evil, man. What he's saying, those things are just not right. I don't know why nobody's just standing up and saying, hey, that's not right. So, well, they're not allowed to question. His word is the word of God, right? It says, okay, well, I'm going home, right? A little bit when I was 4, right?
Yeah,
Reminds you of that?
reminds me of when you were
Yeah.
4. Yeah, it's like didn't get better when you went back the next time.
No. So, no, I've been to different churches between them for marriages and other things, and they were fine. But this particular one was not fine. And he said, what shall I tell them? I said, you tell them whatever you want. So he went back and told them that I was nauseous because of the pregnancy.
Yeah, as I was expecting.
Yeah.
Blame it on
He made
my stomach isn't
excuses.
too happy.
Yeah. That I wasn't feeling well because of the pregnancy, so I had to leave. And he was taking me home. So that was really interesting, right? It was quite fascinating to me.
So there are some situations where you go and you find yourself, you'd say, sorry, I
This is
just
okay.
have to leave.
Yeah,
I
this-
cannot,
yeah.
I can't
Some of them
stand
do.
this. I can't stand with any of
I'm not
this.
gonna
I have to
I'm
go.
not gonna keep my energy field in this energy field.
And other times you can go and they can have the rituals that are not hugely offensive, I guess, to you.
Yeah.
To
yeah.
your truth, or how would you say it?
Yeah, exactly. To your truth and to your energy field.
Some people might be way more sensitive about that, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the slightest little twinge is too much for them. Is
Yeah,
that
exactly. And
reasonable?
other people can. It's like, I don't care. What
I
he's
don't care what he
saying.
says. I ain't listening.
Not just not listening, but it's
I'm
irrelevant.
joining even.
That's quite funny. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those situations, right?
It's a little bit gray. So I figured out the best way to do the football game.
Yeah.
Just show up late.
That's funny.
Why?
Yeah, just avoid it. That's true. I mean, that's a solution way to go, right?
Yeah, they don't close the doors. You can show up late if you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or basketball
Works.
game, or any of those games.
Yeah, it works.
It's not like you have to get there early to get your seat. You have a special seat assigned in some of the games. And if it's your high school kids games and things, you just whenever you get there,
You get there.
you get there. And if you're already there because you had to drop off your kids, just go to the snack bar.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's funny.
there's a lot of things we do to try to manage our lives in a way that we feel is correct within the society that we also exist within.
Yes.
So if you live in a staunchly Catholic place and there, everyone in your village, everyone in your town, everyone in your life has baptism as a central tenet to it, what are you going to do?
I mean, there's
you
so
can't
many different.
show up late for that.
There's so many different situations.
Yeah.
There's so many.
But imagine
different situations.
people feel theirs is unique, right? they're in a unique position. Basically, they're in the one exception position where they have to do it. So when you get to that point where you feel like you have to do it, what should you know?
You have to do anything.
You don't
need
have
to know
to.
that you're not a victim. There's not aggressors. These are just belief systems, and people choose to step into those belief systems. You don't have to do anything.
And probably there's some clubs that you maybe don't want to join anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what the pressure, that's true. I do notice, and I've seen examples of that, especially lately with what we call mandates,
Mm-hmm.
where you guys get together and go on a date, I think.
Mm-hmm. And mandates.
Yeah, mandates.
Yeah. I heard that from one of the podcasts. That was
quite hilarious. Anyway, these where you gotta have to do this or else, those that are standing in their truth and going ahead with it are fully on board with their mandates, and the ones that are standing in their truth and not doing it are also perfectly fine in their reality world. But some of the invitations to join joining in the mandates world, those ones, the invitations are disappearing, right? Just not invited to continue to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's, I think, a push-pull, right?
Exactly. Like, we're not invited to family gatherings anymore at the res. Isn't that funny?
Because we didn't go on our mandate.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think there's probably things to think of. I think what I'm trying to get at, when you make your choice in a light-dark reel, and we're all in light-dark reel all at the same time, and you choose this or choose that or choose the other, those are like seriously just a little experience I'm going to have, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a light-dark experience, I'm going to do this baptism, I'm going to pledge to this magical cult of death, or I'm going to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in a light-dark world, that's okay, go for it, have fun with that, change your mind later, cool. But it's a little different when you're in a split, isn't it?
A little different when you're in a split.
In the sense that you, for example, you're not allowed to go to battle.
Me?
Right.
Oh yeah, I can't join battles anymore.
You can't join a battle.
Well, I can, but I was asked not to.
Right, you can.
I can, but I was asked not to, and the reason for that request was explained to me, and I fully understood it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that going to battle goes against what I want to achieve on the planet. So I agreed, right? I agreed not to go to battle, but I still could if I wanted to.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you will find your battle experience has altered, maybe.
No battle period. There's no excuses or any type of...
No, not as an excuse. It's just if you started to join a battle, I think you would find that there were orchestrations to pull you out of it, and pushes and pulls to keep you from engaging, and consequences for your action.
There definitely would be consequences, and those are not the consequences that I want.
Yeah, those
One of the main consequences is that by joining a battle, I would be feeding the dark energies of the planet. That's the biggest consequence that I don't want to participate in.
Right. And I think that's the point that I'm trying to get at is, don't feed the beast.
Yeah, don't feed the beast.
Don't join rituals that are feeding the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Don't follow rituals or mandates, whatever, that are feeding the beast.
Right. Yeah.
And become aware when you are.
Yeah.
That's part of a responsibility during a split for choosing which paradigm you feed.
Exactly.
Which paradigm you join.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm feeling complete about this.
Really?
The church thing.
The church part, yes. Because we haven't talked about the energies behind Easter, or like the true energies on the planets,
Yeah, so go into that. I want to hear it.
So like we talked about a little bit earlier, Easter's chocolate day or bunny day, and that energy of the bunny as very, very fertile, having lots of bunny babies.
Yeah.
That's one of the main energies I tapped into.
Of spring. It's a spring ritual, right?
Yeah, it is a
Remember
spring ritual.
spring grass? That was part of the Western Price
Oh, yeah,
diet.
yeah.
One of the sacred foods was the milk products from the spring grass.
Yes, from cows eating the spring grass or animals eating spring grass.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things and energies that happen in spring
Right.
that are important for our thriving in life, right? And those energies, yeah, they have been hijacked by religions for sure, but you can still tap into them. And of course, they've also been hijacked by the companies, marketing that you have to send cards and buy chocolate and give presents and do parties or whatever's, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very powerful hijack as well, that veers the attention from one thing into a completely different thing. But yes, the religions have definitely, Christian religions in particular, but I think, and I'm not 100% sure because I'm not familiar with them, that there are other celebrations and things happening during this time, let's say in India, with a lot of the religions in Hinduism that has a lot of religions in it. And also there are traditions and things that other countries hold, and other religions, major religions like Muslims and what are the other ones? Jewish, and other main religions also have traditions and rituals around this time. They call it different things, but they're around this time. One of the traditions that also happens around this time in spring is cleaning. You spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning.
Is that when everything's fresh and new, then you start cleaning things. So what were we saying before you got distracted by all the noises?
I don't know, but I don't want to volunteer adding distractions to everyone's life. No, I'm not going to be the provider of distraction excuses.
That you just did it though.
Dang it!
What were we talking about just before you got distracted with the noise?
Spring cleaning.
Yes.
Don't want to do it.
You don't want to be spring cleaning. Huh?
I don't want to spring cleaning nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy the clean after this done.
The feeling of freshness and cleanliness.
And sort of sweeping out the winter.
Yeah. And old things.
And welcoming in the
fresh and the new.
Open the door, yeah. Okay.
Planting seeds and yeah.
All right, I'll go for the spring cleaning with you.
And there's so many other magical things that happen in the spring. Like all the new babies are born, the chickens and the ducks and the sheep and all the other, And then also the planting of the seeds and all the buds are coming up and everything. So really beautiful things happening. Anyways. Other things that happen in the spring and during this time. There was something else that we were looking at. Do you remember?
Sleeping horses.
Oh my gosh! We're driving past two beautiful horses, literally spread out, laying in the field of daisies, and it's like, oh my goodness! There's one of those miniature goats on the other side. Springtime, man. Springtime
has a lot of distractions. Maybe that's the point. I think PB is getting excited because we're almost getting to the res.
Yes. Our res. Look, there's a pig over there and a horse.
And a sheep. And baby billy goats.
Baby billy goats. Wow, this is a beautiful road.
This is called Y Road.
Y Road.
Yeah. Why? Speaking of why, we're doing the Y exercise in instant manifestations.
Oh, the instant manifestation workshop?
Yes, it's going so amazing. Yeah. And the strong Ys are coming in, and then the even stronger we Ys are coming in too. I guess that's a reasonable enough question about why. why are we picking light paradigm? How's that for a question? And I know your little why, because it's more fun to hang out with light workers than dark workers.
Marginally.
Marginally more fun. That's a pretty weak why in my book.
No, it's pretty strong actually.
It's a strong why.
Yeah, it's strong to me.
Strong for
enough
you.
to keep me around.
Yeah, okay.
You're marginally more interesting than the dark workers.
That's so great. What are you? Tiny bit more interesting than, death and destruction.
Yes.
So,
yeah, death and destruction and torture and evil intent is so blah.
So it's just so been done.
Oh my goodness.
I've already watched that.
So predictable.
Yeah. I guess there's that. That's a good why. It's unpredictable. I do like surprises.
Yeah. Light workers are pretty
They're pretty surprising. I'll tell you what, you go to breakfast, you never know what you're going to hear.
Exactly, yeah, you don't. You actually
And you're pretty sure you don't know where you're going to end up. And by the end of the day, you slide into bed, you go, whew,
yeah.
What a day.
Do you want to share what we're actually doing for Easter Sunday as a tribe here, our community, what we mean now, Olympic Peninsula community?
In a large part, it's a manifestation, right?
Yeah, it's an instant manifestation.
From our first workshop.
Decision to buy some land. Some of the members decided to buy some land together.
Yep.
A lot of people around the planet are doing that one. Let's buy land together and establish a community. Work together. Let's work together.
Yep.
So today we're gathering with that group, but also the larger Olympic Peninsula Walk With Me Now group.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we doing?
We're going to plant mushrooms.
We are going to plant mushrooms. Yep.
That's an interesting spring
activity.
And look at all the
This is actually
daffodils.
planning for fall, isn't it?
It is. Because in the fall we'll be picking and eating them, right? I think that's how long it takes. Well, we don't even know how long it takes.
We don't actually.
Yeah, you got a fever and you ordered us up 1,200 mushroom plugs.
I know.
Yes, you heard that right.
Yes, you heard that right.
1,200 plugs.
Yes.
Now, if you were alone and you had to drill 1,200 holes in these trees and stick the plugs in there and then put wax over top of it, you could have did it if you were in 1900.
Yes.
That would be your morning, afternoon.
Yes.
You probably could get it done before afternoon.
Probably before the afternoon came around. Yeah.
And use a hand drill with the bit that you made yourself.
Yeah.
Drill bit that you got the rocks and you smashed them. Mm-hmm. And then you threw them in the fire and melted them.
Yeah.
You could probably do that, but modern human,
Not
1,200
so
holes? Gonna take a while.
Unless you have a group of individuals.
Unless you have, how many of us? Maybe 8 or something?
Yeah.
In which case, we're gonna whip this out in a few hours.
Yep, we are.
And in a few months, or 6, or however many.
I have no idea. I think it's in fall that they start growing in the tree, right? But they come out, and the part that we eat comes out, I think, in the fall, but I'm not sure. Like Larry said, I had a fever. So we got like a healing reaction, really powerful healing reaction some months ago. And during that healing reaction, I had a very powerful fever. And I don't know what happened, but I found myself thinking that buying mushroom plugs to plant in our hill house was a great idea. So I decided to purchase them, and then, of course, I forgot all about it because I had a fever, and I shouldn't have been on my phone
ordering mushrooms, ordering
going to the
anything.
Store, right?
Yeah.
Ordering anything. Maybe my body wanted mushroom at the time or something. I don't know. Anyways, a few days later, a box arrives at the shaman shack in my name. I open it up. And there's bags and bags and bags of mushrooms, and even the wax seal that you put on top of the plugs for you to grow the mushroom. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then one bag and another bag and another bag and another. Oh my goodness. And I thought, well, I guess we can put one of these bags at our new house. But what do we do with the rest? And I thought, wait, we own land with this group of individuals. I'll just donate it to the community that owns the land, and then we can all do it if we choose to.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work. Nobody made the decision but me. So, the group could have said, nah, we don't want that in the land. But instead of saying that, they said, thank you, let's organize it and figure it out. How do we do this?
We created a nice pull to go to Fossil Beach Res.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so here we are. We haven't been here for quite a few weeks.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, sunny today. Yesterday was snowing. This whole area was covered in snow. But today is beautiful. There's no snow. It's all melted. It's warm.
Yeah,
and we're going to hang out with our co-creators and drill holes in. I'll cut trees down first, right? Because we have to thin some of the areas anyways.
Yep, there's a few alder trees that are growing like grass that need to be turned into mushroom trees.
Yeah.
So we're going to create some mushroom trees.
Yes.
And apparently you get brand new alder trees, drill holes in them, 5 inches around, 5 inches apart, or 2 inches apart, 5 inches away. We got the directions. And then you put this, after you drill all the holes in, you stick this little, looks like a piece of wood in there.
Yeah.
But that wood has got mushroom in it.
Yeah, covered in mushroom seeds or whatever.
Yeah, mycelium. Then you wax the hole up, stick it in a wet, damp place, and then after a while, the whole log gets infiltrated with mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then it pops out and you eat it.
Yes.
And since we're eating it or gathering it at the Fossil Beach, we'll be creating community meals out of it.
Yeah. And you know something else?
What?
That if you cut the mushroom out rather than pulling it, the next year you're going to have another harvest. And the next year after that.
So
and the next year after that until the log is gone. Isn't that cool?
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So this Easter ritual to me feels a bit like a light paradigm Easter ritual.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Gathering together as a community, planting seeds for the future, for our future, we're going to eat these
Making
things.
baby mushrooms.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a fertility too.
Yes.
And I don't know if you think about it, drilling a hole and putting a wood plug in it.
That's very symbolic.
It's very symbolic also. Sometimes you just can't help it.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
We call this PG-13.
PG-13.
Anyways, that's putting an interesting spin on the days of
Yes. We know what Kaz is concentrating on. Make more babies.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny.
It is quite funny. Okay, so
That was cool. Did you complete that link about Easter?
I am complete about Easter. I'm also interested in one thing.
What?
1 week or a month ago, we had a homework. We had to go up the creek and gather a crystal that was Lightworker, new Lightworker, new paradigm homework.
Mm-hmm. Our Monday.
Right. And I think that it was telling the experiences that people had when they decided to actually go ahead and do it with their intention, right?
Yeah. We've seen a lot of those experiences
Shared
posted
in them.
on Walk With Me Now, but also in the public channel.
Mm-hmm. And Talk With Me Now on
Talk With Me
Telegram.
Now, Telegram.
I saw like 30 pictures of the most wonderful homework day.
Yeah.
I mean, the frequency of the experience was through the roof, right?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
So it turns out the reason for the homework was it raises your frequency.
And gathers you as a group.
And often, in many cases, did gather as a group.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and some people had deep connections with their sleeping families just by doing the homework when they were around.
True, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing, beautiful experiences. Yeah.
So this new Easter ritual we have, which is basically a fertility ritual of drilling and plugging mushrooms in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
We could start that as our new Easter
tradition around the world.
Except for one thing I would like to add to it.
Okay.
Chocolate. I mean, we could still have the chocolate, right?
Yeah, let's keep the chocolate.
Keep the chocolate. Mushroom plugs in trees. What about eggs? Can we keep the eggs?
What about treasure hunting? Maybe we can make the crystal hunting or some
Well,
sort
the
of
treasure hunting will be part of finding the mushrooms later. Where are
That's
these
true,
where are the
that's
trees?
true,
Where did we
yeah.
put them?
Yes. Anybody remember where we put those
Where did we
trees?
plug these mushrooms? So yeah, there's that. That could be part of it. Is when you drill and plant your mushrooms, you put them in these tree chunks that are like 2 or 3 feet long, right?
Not necessarily. You can make them really. Well,
I
maybe
know
there's
what
a short because then the
Dan-
water comes in the end.
Dan read the instructions. He said we would cut 2 or 3 foot long chunks and then
Okay.
drill the holes on those, and you stick them straight up and down,
Oh, okay, cool.
and then the water can go up it, I guess, and the mushrooms will
Because
go.
if it's too long, the ones on the top won't get the water.
So the hide and seek portion of it can be put them around a variety of places that you might have to go hunt for later. But do make a treasure map later.
Yes.
So
just in case.
somebody could be the adult and say, yes, getting warmer. Okay? I think that'd be great.
That would be great.
So we still have
traditions.
the traditions, and we still have and have incorporated some of the most beloved parts of the old tradition, but not the part where it becomes a manipulation and a giving away of power.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to be the bosses of who gets the mushroom.
Right. And then we're going to share it anyways because we'll make it into some sort of beautiful meal for everybody.
Uh-huh. So now you know what to do.
Yes, now you know what to do.
New Easter. Are we going to call it Easter or are we going to call it something else?
I don't know. I don't know where the word comes from.
Didn't we
originally.
say it came from Ishtar or something like that?
You said that. I have no idea. I haven't looked it up.
I liked the process, thought it seemed to make logical sense, but who knows if it's correct.
And in different languages, they have different names for it too.
So we could call it Ishtar?
Oh.
What do
like
we want
in-
to call it?
What?
Mushtar?
Mushtar? Mushroom tar?
No, you're going to have to come with a better name.
Yeah.
Come on, put your creativity to it. I got an
Bunny
idea.
Day.
I got a good idea.
Bunny Day. What?
How
Chocolate
about-
Day. Chocolate
no,
Day.
I think that we should come up with the name of the day as a community.
How about that? Yes.
So we'll put it out. Put your idea for what can we call Easter that has to do with mushrooms and chocolate and finding your mushrooms later.
And working with your tribe.
And working with your tribe on the land that you have together, or
Yes.
that you work on together, or that you go to gather together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. What
Yeah,
are we going
I
to
like
call
that.
this day?
I like that.
Alrighty. Now I feel complete.
All right.
Okay. Love you, honey.
I love you, darling.